Beautiful sunny weather in Birmingham. What we can do with that kind of weather? I think drinking whiskey is the best choice. Hello and welcome back. My name is Vlad and in today's video I'm on site, as you can see, beautiful porch with the great companion Tony from Spirit of Birmingham. He was so kind to invite us to the distillery, show us around. The problem is, which unfortunately I cannot show you the distillery inside because it's full of the casks at this moment. So there is not much space to get in, but Tony was happy to share the porch with us and have a little chat about whiskey, about the whiskey production, about the Spirit of Birmingham. So Tony, hello and thank you for having us.
You're welcome, always welcome. Lovely to have you.
Can you share with us a story of Spirit of Birmingham? How you started this business and actually what dragged you into the whiskey production?
It's rather a long story, but I'll try and keep it concise. So my sister and I, my sister Joni, and myself were planning to open Birmingham's first ever distillery. We had grand plans, and it might have been pie in the sky at the time. So this is all pre-COVID. We've been researching and business planning a bit, and it might never have happened. But when COVID came along, it seemed to be a little bit of a jolt. A lot of people started to question what they're doing in their lives, and we started to ask, should we just take a leap and give it a go? So pre-COVID, we were looking at a much grander plan with a warehouse in Digbeth, and we'd have to find investors, and it would have been quite a large project. But then when COVID did hit, we didn't really know what the world would look like in 2 years' time. So we decided to start small, self-fund, and more importantly, just to see if HMRC and Birmingham City Council would give us permission, because we didn't think for a second that would be easy, because we decided to build the distillery at the end of my garden. So it hadn't really been done before. Birmingham City Council didn't have any precedent for it, and nor did HMRC. But through a lot of toing and froing and a lot of form filling, we got our approvals. So Spirit of Birmingham started distilling in 2021, April, and we've been filling casks ever since. So our first 5-year plan was to have whiskey, and last year we launched our very first whiskey and Birmingham's very first whiskey as well. We made history with the release of our pot still inaugural, and that was 1,000 bottles produced from 4 casks, and that went down very well. We sold out of that, and just 2 weeks ago we released our first single malt. So most of our production goes into our pot still recipe, but we do choose very select heritage varieties of malted barley to do a short run of single malt each year as well. So 2 or 4 casks a year of the single malt, and that gives us the option for a single malt, single cask release with an interesting barley variety each year.
So actually you are able to make 2 different styles of whiskey, yeah? Single pot still and the single malt whiskey, yeah?
Yeah.
Where that idea come from?
But originally, through a lot of R&D, we chose the pot still recipe. The original concept was, I suppose it came from my homebrewing. I've been homebrewing beer for 10 or 15 years. And when you're brewing beer, and craft breweries out there use a lot of different grains, I saw it as a potential missed opportunity for distillers who only tend to use a pretty standard distiller's malt, high yielding. And we started experimenting then. we made 12 different beers using different grains, everything from a rice beer like Budweiser up to an imperial stout and every colour of the rainbow in between. I made, I distilled each of those beers unhopped, and then we did a lot of tasting, which was the really difficult bit, deciding where the most profound spirit was, the tastiest, the most interesting. And it was pretty unanimous between friends and family that the darker end of the scale, where the more interesting mash bills were, is where the more interesting spirit was. So we decided to hang our hat on this mixed mash bill style of whiskey. Now we're of Irish heritage, and in Ireland is synonymous with a pot still whiskey, which is just a mixed mash bill, a combination of malted and unmalted barley with some other grains as well. So we decided to call it a pot still whiskey, which I believe is the first English pot still. And then I have a passion for ingredients. I used to be a chef, and the core of our mixed mash bill is a specific variety of barley called Maris Otter. It's UK grown, and it's usually used for brewing. It's got a real rich, sweet, malty flavour about it. So we decided to make a single malt just using that, just to kind of show it off in a way. And we just chose to not stop there. And the following year picked another variety of barley, Plumage Archer. And then the following year we did a different variety again. So we're going to continue that each year, produce a different variety of barley just to showcase what different grains can achieve.
All right. So the last year we had a first ever whiskey from Birmingham, which was the single pot still whiskey, the inaugural one, which actually I have been reviewed already. So you can see the card up here. You can click on it and have a full review on that whiskey. And can you tell us a bit more about the bottle which we have on the table now?
So the bottle on the table was only released a week and a half ago. So this is our first single malt, and again made history with the first single malt produced in Birmingham legally. It is a single cask. It's produced from 100% organic Plumage Archer. So Plumage Archer is a heritage variety of barley, malted barley, and it's grown on a fir farm in the Cotswolds. So we've got full provenance on where the grain comes from. Plumage Archer is a 1902 variety of barley. So it was the first strain of barley that was isolated for commercial use. So it's kind of a historic variety within the brewing and distilling industry. And it's floor malted at Warminster Maltings. So it's a real high quality grain. It's matured in a virgin Staffordshire oak. So this is local oak, hand coopered in Yorkshire into it was a barrique sized barrel, so 225 litres.
Living single cask.
And it's called Living.
Yeah. Can you explain that, please?
So it was suggested by a friend that we name all of our casks because we fill so few. It would be interesting and pretty easy for us to do so. So I ended up on a bit of a musical theme in how I name the casks, just through playing music in the distillery all the time whilst I'm working. And this is, I try and have more than superficial connections with the names. So this cask was called Living, as in Living After Midnight, which is by a band called Judas Priest, who are a local band. So we've got that local connection with,
all right,
with the naming process as well.
It's quite interesting idea, to be honest. And also we can find the QR code on the back here with that Birmingham bull. Machine music.
So this ties in with the playing music in the distillery again. The machine music is where I'll put a post on social media and ask our followers to recommend something for me to listen to,
All right.
just so I don't get bored with my own playlist on repeat.
Okay.
That QR code takes you to a Spotify playlist, and on that playlist is everything I was listening to whilst creating that whiskey. A lot of that is recommended by people on social media. Some of it is just the algorithm offering up things, but there's a lot of tunes in there.
That's nice. That's nice.
So each release, our inaugural had a different QR code with a different playlist, and being 4 casks for the first release, there's 4 hours of listening involved in that playlist. There's about an hour and a half on this one.
Yeah, so actually when we have a look on the label, we have a full information on the label, which contains also the last part of information, naturally presented. What that means?
You know what it means.
I know that.
So we look for whiskies that are non-chill filtered and natural colour. And I like to see that on a label. But when it's my label, I question why I should have to put that on the label. I would rather people who use colour and filtration to be putting it on their labels.
Exactly.
So I preferred to put naturally presented so everybody knows that it is, rather than being forced to comment on things that aren't done to my product. I have naturally presented it, rather than I haven't chill filtered or I haven't coloured it.
I know only one distillery in Scotland who is quite famous and very proud of what they do. Actually, they put on every single label the whiskey has been coloured. Is Jura.
That it has been.
Yeah. So yeah, there is on the back of the label is colour added.
So even though there's hundreds of whiskies out there that are coloured and don't mention it on the label, there are actually rules with food labelling in the UK that require you to say so on the label if it's got any added colour, but so many just ignore that rule.
Yes, same is in the Germany and Austria, I think.
In Germany they follow it.
Yeah. So we have a single cask whiskey bottled at 48%. Yeah,
that's right.
And that's our whiskey here.
And we've got shamrock all over here because it's St. Patrick's Day.
So it's quite young whiskey in it, because we don't have actually the age statement on the label. Can you tell us a bit more about the age of this one?
It's 3 years and 2 months exactly.
Yeah, so it's according the Scottish rules, the whiskey maturation, full acceptable. Yeah, more than 3 years and 1 day, so it's great. Yeah.
So the actual rules exist for England as well, borrowed from European technical file, and it doesn't actually state and 1 day. The rules in the technical file just states no less than 3 years.
All right.
The and 1 day, I think that just comes from tour guides.
Okay. Yeah, because I actually heard this in the one tour in Scotland. Yeah, there was like an argument about how we know that this whiskey was actually the 3 years. Yeah, if that sometimes could be like a couple of hours less than 3 years and things like that. So yeah, they decided
and might be a leap year, so you've got an extra one.
Yeah, exactly. So they decided to carry on saying that it's like a 3 years and 1 day to be sure that was fully 3 years in it.
Yeah, it's no less than 3 years, and the way that that's phrased covers all possibilities.
What hits the nose first is loads of fruitiness for me. It's like a caramel cover apple crumble. That kind of stuff.
And the Cooper told me that this species of oak would actually deliver quite an appley flavour note to the spirit.
I think is the Staffordshire oak is
Staffordshire oak. Yeah.
it's 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 taken as a Quercus rubber, which is like a European type of oak.
So this is Quercus Cecile rather than
All
Quercus
right.
robur. So in the Midlands we'll get we have got some Quercus robur as well, um, but this specific one is Quercus Cecile.
Okay. That's you know very important information. If you wanna be more geeky than I am, you can dig in the Google AI, all that things, and get more information about the type of the oak, because that's quite important. Every single oak gives to whiskey something different, something special, and creates the the character of the whiskey.
And on that, we did a masterclass at one of the Birmingham Whisky festivals, where we sampled two different oak species across two different counties in England, and even Quercus robur from Staffordshire versus Quercus robur from Yorkshire. The flavour profile was distinctly different. So I kept the spirit exactly the same. I had it on oak for just 1 month for each sample, but the oak samples were different, and
All right.
the species tasted different. The two species within Staffordshire tasted different, but the two Quercus robur between Yorkshire and Staffordshire were also quite different. The Yorkshire oak, maybe because it's colder, slower growing, it had a really much spicier profile.
Yeah. So you can tell about the color. It's like quite nicely influenced by the cask, but the aroma is so beautiful. If I will try this in a blind tasting, I would never say this whiskey is only 3 years old. It definitely smells more mature than 3 years. It's quite nicely balanced and very smooth. No burn of alcohol on the nose, even that 48%. It's very easy to sniff, and it's sweet. Loads of sweetness, some slight herbal notes, and that toffee covered apple crumble for me, definitely. And there is like a slightly touch of the saltiness. I don't know where that came
Okay.
from, but it's for me. Yeah, I've got that weird sense, I can easily smell the saltiness in a whiskey. So every single whiskey from from the coastal distilleries,
Well, we're not by the sea.
yeah, we're not by the sea actually, but there is that kind of touch of saltiness for me. Cheers,
Sláinte Bab.
Slàinte Bap. Dirty old style Birmingham.
We wanted a bit of Birmingham's industrial heritage.
And you know what? This whiskey has that industrial touch. There is that kind of gristy, like maybe not a diesel, but like a engine oil,
It's just
like a grist.
a little bit of a crudeness. It comes from being brave when making cuts into the tails to bring out a bit of rooty nuttiness, and along with those specific flavour profiles, you get a few other little grungy notes, which in very small amounts are quite pleasurable. We wouldn't want to go too far.
Yes, because Tony has a quite special day today because it's a mashing day. Yeah, so we've been sneaking, all around and have a look on the process, and he just show us tools to use that kind of process, and yeah, I call this distillery Midlands. Yeah, Midlands Springbank. Due to the tools used in distillery. But now I can say the taste is also Springbanky a bit.
Wow.
That kind of dirtiness, that kind of funky notes in this whiskey. Uh, Birmingham was actually very famous from the car industry, beginning of the 20th century. I'm working for the company, which now is famous from the door production, but this company has been established in 1928. Sorry, 1923. We had the 100th anniversary a couple years back, and from the owner of the company, we heard that story. His dad actually opened that company, or granddad, and they've been producing the wood scratches for the cleaning the garages from the oil marks. That was like a main. They use they creating the sawdust
Right.
for actually this purpose only by many years. So the wood company, yeah, timber company, creating the sawdust for the cleaning the concretes from the oil marks in the garages in the production companies beginning of the 20th century. So yeah, the Birmingham is known from that kind of industrial thing. If you ever been in the Birmingham, if you go to the city center, you've got that loads of old buildings, empty one, you know, abandoned.
Yeah, and especially around Digbeth.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of regeneration going on. A lot of new businesses moving into those old buildings and refurbishing them. It's Birmingham's going through a bit of a renaissance now, having been such an industrialized city. Um, a lot of it needed uh, um, investment, and the city's getting that investment now.
that's good. That's nice.
Peaky Blinders put Birmingham on the map a little bit,
Yeah,
and we've got
definitely.
Stephen Knight
Definitely.
built his television studios. The new Bond movies getting filmed in Digbeth at the studios. So a lot of big things happening in Birmingham, not just whiskey.
Yeah. So we're recording this video 17th of the March. So in the 3 days, the Netflix will start with the
The Immortal Man.
new movie Immortal Man, Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders. So yeah. I'm learning 10 years in Birmingham and I'm still learning.
Great accent.
Yeah, so Tony, I need to say, you know, this whiskey for 3 years old is just amazing.
Thank you.
I've tried many. I like young whiskies, to be honest. I'm very passionate about the young whiskies, and for me now, you know, exploring the English whiskey business, growing, and all the new distilleries. Yeah, your distillery is on the front. It's like, you know, top on the top of the front of, you know, that long queue. It's about 60 distilleries now.
70.
70 now.
Yeah.
Oh,
It keeps growing year on year. It keeps growing.
70 distilleries, yeah. Scotland,
Watch out.
watch out, yeah. We're going for ya.
Yeah, most of them are pretty small by Scottish standards. So we talk in thousands of litres rather than millions. And collectively, you know, we don't make much of a dent on the Scotch whisky landscape. But what English whisky has got it going for it is, being smaller concerns, there's quite a focus on the quality of what's in the bottle, the interest of what's in the bottle, not just you know, producing Scotch south of the border. There's a lot of distilleries creating very unique, very distinctive products of really high standard.
Yeah. So guys, I do apologize for that, for what I'm gonna say now, yeah. But I need to break your imagination about the beautiful Scottish water flows, the hills, you know. The English whiskey industry shows that you can do the beautiful whiskey using the tap water. So it's not only about the hills, it's not only about the beautiful buildings, it's not about the beautiful environment. You can do whiskey everywhere, but keep quality. That's the most of the important thing. Tony, One more time, thank you very much for having us.
Absolute pleasure.
That was beautiful, beautiful time, in this lovely weather in Birmingham. So guys, see you next time, and slan jabab.
Slan Shabab. Cheers.
Cheers.